Hello! Today I'm going to do the runtime for the diesel heater running on a Makita battery, and after we've discussed that I'm going to do a bit of waffling on about shill videos and getting products for free and testing them, etc., because we've had a lot of that recently, and I'll talk about more of that at the end of the video. So you can watch this bit and then watch all if you want to watch it, or just skip the end out and not watch it. I don't care. So I have done this video in a different order. I have already run the heater, so I know how long it takes, and what I'm going to do is insert a short clip, it's a short condensed clip of the whole heater running, and then we'll talk about it. So let's watch that now. As you saw, the heater ran for approximately 40 minutes. For a 3 amp hour battery, and bearing in mind this is a 5 kilowatt heater and I was running it at full power, which uses approximately 4 to 5 amps. So that's we'll just call that 4 amps. This is a 3 amp hour battery, so it ran for just slightly less than 1 hour, which is a pretty good going for this Makita battery, which it's seen use. This is not a new battery. That has had not a hard life, but it's had many discharge and recharge cycles. 40 minutes, but what happened at the end of the battery runtime was that I had it set for 16 volts, so it cut out at 16, and then it did its cool down cycle, which ran the glow plug, and you may have seen the battery voltage went all the way down to 12 volts. Now when it was run at startup, it started at 21, was it 20 or 21? It started at 2021, and then when the glow plug came on at that high voltage, it only actually brought it down like maybe 2 volts. So at the end of the cycle it's on 16, I expected it to maybe pull down, from 16 to 14 volts, but it pulled it down a lot further than I was expecting it to pull down. So I'm not sure how bad if you know how bad that is for these batteries, leave a comment down below. But as you saw, once it got past the cooling down stage and it brought it down to 12 volts for that, I don't know, like 30 seconds, or was it a minute? 30 seconds to a minute. It then sprung straight back up to the 16, 18 volts it was floating at. I did put it then back on charge, and it recharged fully without any problems. The charger didn't care, and it charged it back up. I don't know if that counts towards one of its 3 lives of discharge, or like taking it down past what its safe voltage is, but I do know that you can open these up and buy a new charging chip for the top of them, so you can take the dead used its 3 lives chip out, throw that away, put another one in, and then continue using your battery pack as normal. Ideally, what we need if you're going to run power tool batteries is a better way of it coming down, getting to its cut-off voltage, cutting out the fuel pump so that it goes into cool down cycle, and then either running the cool down cycle from a separate source, or if we could get the cool down cycle to go away altogether, like let's just say it got to the end, went flat and cut the power, but then what we did is we ran the cooling fan for say 30 seconds, a minute, because what do we need? We need a 9 volt supply, so perhaps a 9 volt battery. We just needed to swap in the 9 volt battery for the fan till it flattens the battery for all we care, because all we want to do is get rid of all the hot air and not cook the ECU. So, comments, suggestions of things that we can try and build and put together in our own way of putting things together to make a safety cutout that will just run the fan and have the safety feature of just the cooling fan to cool it down till either that power supply is spent or some sort of thermostat that tells it it's cool enough, etc., etc. That kind of ends the But in the video, this was just a very short video obviously, because all we needed to do was see it running for how long on a battery. That brings me to part 2 of the video of our shill video section. So you'll recall in the previous video that we got a Jackery power station for free for, well, it's not for nothing. What Jackery got out of it was exposure and a video on the innards, etc. and an Amazon review that Amazon's pending review because they're really cracking down on, funnily enough, shill reviews. Although it wasn't a bad review because I just said exactly the things I found. Good insides, etc, etc, blah blah blah. And then of course we've got the Lavender Pro diesel here that we got sent for nothing again for they get exposure and views, etc etc, links to things and sales and whatnot. We obviously get the heater out of it, but that's by. So what I want to explain is why all these things are happening at the same time. It's pure coincidence. The diesel heater, this project started in, was it the end of 2019 or the beginning of 2020? It started at the start of the pandemic and that fucked it up because we're about to, or the Chinese people were about to send these out and the coronavirus struck, all shipping from China stopped, etc etc, pandemic, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. Took practically a year for everything to go back to normal and them actually be able to send out a unit. It just happened to be at the same time that Jackery decided to sell their portable power station in the UK as well. I've also got things coming from Banggood. Do you remember I want to say I didn't murder my Makita grinder. My Makita grinder died of its own natural causes and all by itself. So this is dead. And a couple of nice viewers, this is the other half, pointed out that you can buy the motor and the controller and all the brain boxy bits. This, like this whole section here, this a replacement of that is, was it 60 or 70 pounds? 60 or 70 pounds for that. So I haven't ordered that. What I have done instead, again, this broke, and in the same week, Banggood, well no, to be fair, Banggood have been emailing me for a long time, trying to send me shite, basically. It was just any old generic rubbish that was obviously going cheap that week that they could get reviews on. But this time, they said, oh, we've got all this stuff, do you want to try it? And I just replied to them and I said, no, send me something that runs on 18 volt Makita batteries. So I picked a grinder, so I've chosen a replacement grinder that works on Makita batteries. We're going to see if that's any better than, not better, I mean, see if it's as comparable with a proper Makita grinder. And hopefully from there, we'll start getting more Makita battery compatible non-Makita tools. Yeah, that's going to make a great title. To run them and see how, because I've already got, hold on. So this is a non-Makita battery powered impact driver, the small one. EVE did a review on one of these, so I bought one and it worked once. It's fucking shite. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I've had it apart, I don't know what is wrong with it, but yeah. I've also ordered some more. I've ordered, you know, with my money, or our money that you watch adverts that gives me money and I spend it on shite like this. Another 18 volt Makita battery, non-Makita battery powered tool to test, and I'll either do them as separate videos or smoosh them all together, but let's see. But that brings me to my point of shill videos. So a shill video is where you're paid to have a positive review on a tool. I don't do that. That's not happening here, and you people know I don't do that. The reason other people do it is to get free stuff. If you say good things, constantly say good things about products, more companies will send you more products to say good things about. Whereas what happens here is, if you send me a piece of shite and it does not fucking work, I will tell the people it is a piece of shite and it does not fucking work. Granted, that doesn't happen very often. I can't even remember the last time. What was the last thing I bought that was, it was garbage. It was just plain old-fashioned garbage. I can't remember. My memory is terrible. But if companies out there, if you're watching, if you're going to send a product in, make sure it's not shite first. Or if it is, send it to somebody else that'll shill it for you, because I will tell the people if it's fucking garbage. Yeah, shill videos, not here. If it's shite, I say it's shite. And if companies want to send things, and be prepared to be me telling people it's shit or not. Or if it's good. If it's actually good, then I will say it is good. Or if I find things that I don't like with it, along with other things, like the jackery, like the 240 socket. It could be round that way, so your trailing wire doesn't bang into the ground. But it's not a huge thing, but it's something that could have been made better. I think that's about all for this video, because it's to be fair, the rambling's probably longer than the initial bit of the video. So, thanks for watching.